Hello, beautiful people. So here we are to the second trip with Sankarshan Joshi, and so after my first trip, which is episode basically is just a fancier way of saying um, episode. So after my first trip, a lot of people wanted me to introduce myself or talk about this podcast or what this podcast is all about. So here I am with an awkward intro of me talking about my podcast. So, first of all, looking into camera and talking is very awkward. So, please don't mind my awkwardness. So, the reason why I named my podcast the Sankarshan Joshi Trip is that the first reason is so the type of conversations I love having is usually what people have when they're high or when they're tripping. So, yeah, like I can have trippy conversations being sober, and and that's the first reason. And the second reason being that, okay, so now I'll get a little bit philosophical. So, the reason why I named Trip is because we are all here on this planet for a short period of time. And so, me being here or me talking to someone, it's just trip. Like, it's just short travel. So, yeah, like that's the reason why I named my podcast the Sankarshan Joshi Trip. And so, on my second trip, we have this really interesting person. So his name is Abhilash. So he's my professor, and so I've known him from like 2 to 3 years now. And every conversation I have with him is really interesting, and I get to learn a lot. And I thought it'd be wonderful if I have him on the show. So the reason why I'm introducing him here is because uh, the introduction which I did on my podcast was very choppy because of internet issues. So here I am. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.
I'm really passionate about what I'm trying to pursue, which is towards food, agriculture, and nutrition for the generation, for the contemporary generation.
Hmm.
Trying to pursue, trying to get hold of non-chemical food, and so that it can be uh, within the reach of the common man.
Hmm.
So yes, we have started it for the last 4 to 5 years. I've been doing it part time,
Okay.
uh, along with my job at MS Ramaya University of Applied Sciences and at PES University. While I was working, I after my working hours, I used to pursue this 5 to 9 and early morning 7 to 8 or 6 to 8 maybe, so something like that. So for the last 4 years I've been doing it. So with that confidence and with that conviction in mind, I have taken up this whole step forward to go ahead and pursue this whole thing of facilitating non-chemical food, indigenous seeds grown
Hmm.
non-chemically, no preservatives, to as many people as possible, to as many families as possible.
To provide a healthy living.
Healthy living. Also to connect the farmers who are growing the crop non-chemically, and also the
Hmm.
gaushalas which are uh, coming forward to facilitate Panchagavya products,
Okay.
which are made out of desi cow urine, desi cow dung, desi cow milk, desi cow ghee, desi cow curd, and desi cow buttermilk.
Hmm. So, like we all have been hearing, we all have been looking at various articles which talks about food adulteration, and I know that a lot of people are aware that whatever food we are consuming might be chemically infused, or there might be a lot of fertilizers that have been added. But
Right.
still, there have not been much measures that have been taken place. So,
And also, like I've seen you work, like you've also been doing your research on the food adulteration and all that. So, what is the current state according to you? So, on a daily basis, like we consume food, right? So, we don't know,
Right.
like we hear this word organic, which is pasted all around, and and most of the people prefer organic food over normal food. But are organic foods actually organic?
Okay, so to give you a perspective, there are three ways in which food can be grown largely. First is using urea and DAP. Those are
Okay.
basic chemical fertilizers, which are used by farmers to keep away the pests, keep away
Hmm.
the insects, keep away all kinds of unwanted, according to that kind of agriculture. According to that kind of agriculture, they want to keep away all these pests basically away. So that kind of farming is called chemical farming, which uses urea and DAP. Now that is one kind of farming. Second is organic farming. Organic farming again uses fertilizers, but these fertilizers are at least better than the
Hmm.
chemical fertilizers, but still they are harmful. Still they are
Okay.
harmful, not to the extent of what urea and DAP will be causing, either to the soil, to the crop, to the the farmer himself or
Hmm.
herself. So the
So,
third type of farming is natural farming. Now
hmm.
natural farming is something which uh, is very old practice, which we have been doing since ages, as India is known as agrarian society.
Yeah.
So we in natural farming, the whole center of focus is desi cow.
Okay.
So the natural fertilizer which is made to be spread either onto the soil or onto the crops or onto the fruits and vegetables, all these things are made through the Panchagavyas of Desi cow.
Hmm.
Everything is made in the kitchen of a farmer's house.
Oh, wow.
So if you talk like that, I mean, all the fertilizers which are made with the ingredients available in the kitchen, that means they are safe.
Yeah.
If you talk about turmeric, if you talk about cow urine, if you talk about cow dung, if you talk
Yeah.
about tur dal, if you talk about rice water, there are
Hmm.
many ingredients which are found naturally, either with the cow urine, cow dung, or it is
Hmm.
available in the kitchen in the form of ingredients. With the, all these ingredients, when they are mixed together to make a concoction and then left for few days, that is called a natural fertilizer.
Okay.
And that natural fertilizer is sprayed onto the soil as well as the plants. And definitely, if such kind of an activity is happening, there is no harm, to either to the soil or to the
Yeah.
crop or to the farmer.
Yes, yes, sir. So, like you were saying with the natural farming, so you mentioned that the cow was the main component, right? Like cow, and then the cow products were the main part of natural farming. So I think that if like back in the days when farmers they had their own cows, and then so they used the cow products, and then they made natural fertilizers, and then they used it to farming, and then there was a proper ecosystem that was there. So like they had their own cows, they had their
Right.
own fields, like there was a proper, there was no any external intervention in that ecosystem. So
Right.
why do you think that that
Right.
ecosystem got disturbed?
That's a very good question. In the early 60s, if you have heard about the term called Green Revolution, Green
Hmm.
Revolution is something which happened during the 1960s Indira Gandhi time, when Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India. Green Revolution was uh, brought to handle the food scarcity situation which was prevailing at that time.
Hmm.
Every time there was food scarcity, India had to stand in front of Russia or in front of the US to beg for food grains, let it be rice or let it be wheat. So because the population explosion was happening, and there was not sufficient food which was getting irrigated or cultivated to feed all the heads in the whole country. Hence, the uh, the intervention with the agricultural system was done, and that's where the Green Revolution came into existence. Now, if you read a little about Green Revolution, you will know that uh, that was a time when all these fertilizers, chemical fertilizers, and a lot of pesticides were introduced.
Hmm.
Um, if you read a little bit about this history of how are these chemical fertilizers made, you will see a connection between the the chemical fertilizers and the companies uh, which were uh, which were manufacturing um, artillery, which were manufacturing for which were manufacturing all kinds of chemical artillery for the wars. So after the Second World War, the world, the countries in the world understood that there is no way in which wars can be an answer to any kind of conflict. So they started having uh, better discussions. They started having uh, you know other different ways apart from war to resolve their issues. uh,
Hmm.
that was a time when, if the companies which have put in so much effort and research, time and money and energy into developing these chemical weapons, let it be bombs, let it be grenades, let it be anything, you know what are these companies going to do? So they wanted an outflow of all these chemicals
Oh.
to be moved somewhere, so that the cash flow keeps happening. So
Wow.
after the war, the next mass consumption of such kind of chemicals would be only in agriculture.
Okay.
And that was a time when these companies like Bayer and Monsanto and all these companies, they started manufacturing chemical fertilizers and started pushing it towards industrialization of agriculture. Till then,
Okay.
India always believed to have simple living, simple farms, uh, three three or four cows, two or three bulls at home. Every farmer was having at least 2 to 5 to 10 acres of land. Even a small farmer would have 2 acres of land. Irrespective of whichever profession you were doing
Yeah.
or you were into, let it be be a doctor or a engineer or a plumber or an electrician or basically a politician or a panchayat head or whatever. Every person was a farmer, and then they had some other profession.
Yeah.
So that was how our Indian society uh, was existing, before 1960s. uh,
Hmm.
so every person was having some amount of land. As a joint family, as an individual also, they were having some amount of land.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the real wealth was always considered as cattle and land.
Yeah.
So whenever there was an event of in terms of marriage, giving away or getting the girl child married to the male child, uh, it is always seen that what is the wealth of the other family or either of the families.
Yeah.
The wealth was always measured with the amount of land what a
Cattle.
person
Yeah.
owns, and what is the amount of cattle that a person owns or a
Yeah.
family owns for that matter. So the real wealth was always land and cattle.
Cattle.
But with the advent of these chemical fertilizers, and industrialization of agriculture started happening in 1960s, these families, they started seeing no use of the cattle,
Okay.
such as cow and bull. Now, to give you a perspective, industrialization of agriculture started, one good example of industrialization of agriculture is tractor.
Yeah.
Now, land plowing the land used to happen with the help of bulls,
Bulls. Yeah.
but the mechanization and industrialization of this whole plowing of land had moved to the process of using a tractor. Now, when a farmer is when a farmer is having a tractor to plow the field, what is the use of a bull or a pair of
Yeah.
bulls?
They
So when
became a
you don't
liability
need
slowly.
a pair of bulls, yes, you're
Hmm.
right. They became a liability, but there were a lot of intellectual farmers at that time who understood this change, that this tractor is going to bring havoc into the into the
Hmm.
human society, because tractor needs continuous overoiling, continuous input of petrol. It is a machine, it gets depreciated over the period of time, it might have mechanical issues, electrical issues, and lot of these things. For that matter, bulls will also have, but the cost to maintain a bull or a pair of bull is much lesser when
Yeah.
compared to a tractor.
Yeah. I know.
So
Yeah.
before 1960s, the concept of farming or the idea of farming was uh, purely based on desi cows, or basically based on cattle. So a person who is having cows and bulls
Hmm.
would be able to generate or create their own natural fertilizer and use it in the farm and plow the farm with the help of bulls. So ideally, the farming was zero input cost.
Hmm.
But with the advent of industrial agriculture and chemical fertilizers, the cost of input to produce a particular yield of crop was very high, because you had to purchase
Yeah.
chemical fertilizers, you had to purchase a tractor, you had to purchase
Yeah.
diesel, you have to purchase a lot of other things. Industrial agriculture and along with chemical fertilizers also brought in hybrid seeds.
Hmm.
Till then, the it's an age-old tradition of farmers that with every crop after the harvest, they used to save seeds.
Hmm.
Say they used to save seeds for the next crop.
Okay.
So never ever the farmers had to buy seeds from corporations. But with the
Hmm.
advent of hybrid seeds, with the advent of hybrid seeds and chemical based agriculture, these hybrid seeds were provided by the MNCs
Hmm.
at
So
a
it was a
particular cost.
propaganda, basically.
Yeah, everything was scheduled and structured in such a manner that uh, the cost of input to grow a crop would eventually grow high.
Oh.
So, for a piece of land, if a farmer is trying to put one bag of chemical urea or DAP, or urea and DAP, for the next crop cycle, he might have to put 2 bags.
Hmm.
Third crop cycle, 4 bags. Fourth
So the
crop
soil
cycle, six
quality
bags.
of the soil went on degrading by the use of these chemicals. Hence, they had to use
Yes,
more chemical in order to get the same amount of crops.
right.
Oh, wow.
The farmers were allured. The farmers were, attracted by the word called uh, extra yield. Till
Hmm.
then, whatever yield was available using natural farming, let's say 1 acre used to produce, let's say 1 ton, by using chemical agriculture or chemical based agriculture, the farmers were given the hope that you will get a higher yield. Chemical fertilizers were brought in to have those chemical fertilizers. Rather, I would say it all started with the seed. You know, because the high yield was the required thing at that amount of time, at that period of time, because they wanted higher yield so that the masses in the country could be fed and hunger can be avoided. For that, they brought in something called as hybrid seed. Now, what is a hybrid seed? Hybrid seed is it's not genetically modified. Hybrid seed is some amount of change which is done at the gene level, but it is not GMO. There is a difference between hybrid seed and a genetically modified. Hybrid seed is something which is not a desi seed and it is not a GMO. Okay, so hybrid seed was brought in with a with a with a very positive outlook that if a farmer uses this hybrid seed, they will have a lot of increase in the yield.
Yeah, they
Which
gave
is
the hope that they will be
correct.
having a good output, hence they had to use it. So, sir, like, were we actually in a deficit, or were we in a problem before?
At that time,
Yeah.
yes, we were definitely in a problem. We were India was staring at a situation where the public and the population was was going was moving towards hunger, and the food was not sufficient. Food scarcity was a very big issue which was prevailing at that time, and uh, it was a big concern for the Prime Minister of India then, that is Indira Gandhi. That was Indira Gandhi at that time, and she did not want to beg the Russia and the US, uh, because with that they are going to give the food and then dictate terms
Yeah.
to the country, and that Mrs. Indira Gandhi did not want, and hence she, along with the then scientist, the agricultural scientist, that is Dr. Swaminathan. Dr. Swaminathan was the brainchild behind Green Revolution.
Okay.
So whatever they did, it was right and appropriate for the time where all these problems were prevailing. But
Yeah.
no one could actually anticipate that the ill effects of chemical agriculture would be so devastating 30 years down the lane, where a flourishing state like Punjab would convert into a cancer state. So there, if you see, there is a train which goes from Punjab to I think somewhere in Rajasthan, and that train is called cancer. That train is called cancer train.
Wow.
Where all the passengers in that train are cancer patients.
Oh.
Someone is suffering from lung cancer, brain cancer, breast cancer, skin cancer, whatnot. The whole train is filled with only cancer patients, which takes the cancer patients to a particular hospital somewhere in Rajasthan to get cured. So because a lot of chemical fertilizers were used in the state of Punjab for a decade or more than a decade, let's say 2 decades, because for 2 decades that particular chemical fertilizers were used, the generation and the soil degraded in a very bad manner, degraded that one cannot even imagine.
Yeah, now we all are facing the consequences even today, right? Like the effect of the pesticides used in the past, we are still facing the consequences of it. So,
Right. Yes. If you just Google a basic word like Kasargod chemical fertilizer. Kasargod is a small town in which is on the border of Karnataka and Kerala,
Yeah.
and I think the chemical fertilizers were sprayed using an aeroplane, a
Oh,
helicopter and aeroplane. I don't know. I think there was cashew plantation for which the fertilizers were sprayed using a small scale aircraft, and it was sprayed across the city. I mean, across the town, and the effects are so devastating that till today, I think it's been almost 30 years now. Till today, the children who are born in that particular small town, are born with disorders which are seen evidently, either eye disorder, brain disorder, limbs disorder. Some or the other disorders are there. So if you can remember the effect of Hiroshima and Nagasaki,
yeah.
how these two towns had the effect of the nuclear bomb. Similarly, the Kasargod town and all the children who were born after the spraying was done, the effect is so strong that after 30 years also, the children born over there are not able to recover. That is because the soil is degraded. That is because the air is degraded. That is because the water is degraded. On a daily basis, we consume three things only: air, water, food. And if these three things are polluted,
Yeah.
obviously whatever is going into our consciousness
System.
or whatever is system will be poison only. So that is what has happened with the children and the mothers and the fathers in the town of Kasargod. They are inhaling poisonous air. They are drinking groundwater or water from the well, which is poison, filled with poison, because the air is having poison, the soil is having poison, the fertile soil which was there is now poisonous.
I didn't even know that there was a problem existing like this until today. So, like more than half of the problems like this, they come and they go, sir. Like people, they don't actually think. Like there comes a wave. Like if at all there is a problem in our country, then people start sending all the forward messages across all the groups on social media. They talk about it. There is buzz all around, and then it fades away. And also, like farmer community have been a victim of this for a very long time. So every time a farmer commits suicide, there comes a buzz. Like every news channel, they talk about it, social media, they talk about it, and then everybody wants to do something to them. And then when the buzz fades away, people will not remember it, sir. And they start thinking about like what is now trending. Like they go to all Bollywood, Hollywood, Tollywood, like all the trending stuff, they come back up again. So farmer community have always been the victim of this. And also when you said that this all propaganda was like farmers, like basically they were pushed into the situation so that their economy will, the country's economy will keep running, so that the company will make profits. They pushed this propaganda onto the people and then they had to buy it. It is not just with the chemical fertilizers. We Indians on a whole, we have been influenced from Western cultures, or we have been influenced, like our whole culture has been influenced to an extent where we actually don't know what our core values were, like how did our whole system function. So like back when the cows were the core of the entire agriculture system, everything was fine. Like when they got pushed into this propaganda, like they get influenced, sir. Like we always look up to Western for some reason, I don't know why, but there is a lack of confidence in our culture. Like, do you think so too?
Lack of confidence is there, or lack of information is there right from the childhood. Now this all is happening because the education system is
Hmm.
not giving them the right exposure. Now
Yeah.
if you see the modern society and the contemporary world, especially in India and in the urban cities, are having smaller families: mother, father, two children, sometimes mother, father, and a child. That's it. olden
Yeah.
days, a joint family used to have at least 40 people. At least 40 people. The head of the family would have at least had 6 children of male origin and 6 children of female origin, and all these the even the head of the family would have his brothers and sisters. Their brothers and sisters would be staying in the same big house. 3 or 4 generations would be living in the same house. And majority of the learning used to happen at home,
Hmm.
looking at your mother, mother's sister, mother's elder sister, mother's younger sister, your uncles, aunties, Chikama, Dodappa, all these people, you would be looking at them and how are they behaving? How are they handling the situation? What are they trying to do on a particular day, on a particular festival? How are they performing their duties? What are the duties of men? What are the duties of women? Why are they doing it? All those things had a strong reasoning, which
Hmm.
eventually faded away
Faded
with
away.
the dismantling of the joint family system. Everyone wanted to be independent, and small nuclear families were formed, and
Yeah.
small nuclear families had their own small diluted cultures. Every nuclear family had a diluted culture, and then as and when it moved forward, uh, more dilution happened. And when the current generation, when they look back, they say, yeah, I am from Chittoor, I am from Hindupur, I am from this particular place, but I am currently in Bangalore, a metropolitan city. I have never visited my native
Hometown.
place, and I don't know my ancestors. So the whole point and the whole reason why we are not able to uh, get the right information is because we are disconnected from our roots. And anyone who is disconnected from our roots would always search for some kind of an influence. It's like
Hmm.
mobile phone will always keep searching for a network.
Yeah.
Whichever network the mobile phone gets, it will catch.
Yeah.
So the ancestral network has been structurally killed, and the modern civilization, the Western civilization, or the influence of Western civilization is the only mobile network which is available to our antennas of the contemporary
Yeah.
world. So if I have a question, neither I have a spiritual guru. If I have a question, neither I have a grandmother or a grandfather. Even if I have a grandmother and a grandfather, they will not have right answers, because they themselves are
Yeah.
diluted,
Yeah.
because
That
they
that
had
that
30,
is
40
the
years.
main problem, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
30,
like
40, 50
when,
years back, they had come to urban cities. So if they are not
yeah,
having answers to the current
exactly. Yeah.
generation's questions and queries, then who is going to answer?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is when
And when
people will start losing confidence. So like every time my grandmother, my grandparents asked me to do something on a festival, if they asked me to use a mango leaf for something, then I ask why. Like our generation, it's very curious. Like I think that that's a good thing. So we ask why. So the moment you give a, a answer which I think is stupid or which I think is logicless, then I will discard it. So more events like this happen. So then I discard the whole culture as a whole. Then we start saying that okay, like whatever our ancestors followed, everything is meaningless. Like we create an opinion for the entire system. So yes, sir. Like I
yes,
agree
that's
with you.
true. True, it's true. Whatever you have been saying, as a child, as a young toddler, as a young teenager, I also went through the same concerns, because I was also not given these answers properly, and because this happened because the uh, the generation before us, they never questioned. They never questioned, and
Yeah.
in, they only believed in following. And if I
Yeah.
go to a generation, one generation behind, that is a little earlier, that is my grandmother. So my
Hmm.
grandmother would have born in 1940s or 1950s, 1930s maybe, let's say. My grandmother would have born in 1930s. So those were that was the generation who had the immense knowledge and the answer to all the whys, WHY. And by the time we were, I mean, me as a, I as a adult, the moment I grew up, my grandmother was gone and my grandfather was gone, and all these answers, all these questions were not were left unanswered. And when I asked these questions to my mother and father, definitely they wouldn't be able to answer it, and they would say, we never asked our parents all such kind of questions, we just followed what they say, and your generation keeps asking these kind of questions and we
Yeah.
don't have an answer. But the right way to question is to not stop and start having a prejudice just because my immediate connections, that is my
Yeah.
father, mother, my uncle, auntie, my sisters and elder sisters, are not able to answer. One should not develop a prejudice saying that
Yeah.
no, they don't know anything, the culture is of no use, the culture doesn't have any sense. That is very naive of us to
To think that
think
way.
like
Yeah.
that. And just because can we see air? We cannot see air. Our senses are feeble to even see air. Our eyesight as a sense is not strong enough to see air, but we can feel air. So similarly, if just because we are not having enough connections, or just because we are not having any enough network to find
Hmm.
answers or get answers for our questions, we should not conclude that our generation or our culture is nonsense. No,
Our
on the contrary, one.
intelligence is restricting us, sir. Our intelligence
Yeah,
is restricting us.
true,
Like, that's
true.
what I think. Because whatever goes beyond our intelligence, or whatever we think that we cannot perceive, we say that it doesn't exist. So, like, the lack of open mindedness, right? It, like, everything doesn't have to be definite. Like, every time we create an opinion, we create an opinion so strong that we tend to ignore anything around or surrounding the opinion. So we are not open
No,
to certain things.
I totally I agree on that. I agree on that, and that thing is happening because of because the right kind of education is not happening. Now, if
Yeah.
I rewind, today is to- 2020. Now, today is 2020. Rewind 50, 60 years. Okay, let's say 1950s, 1940s. Now, 1940s, 1950s. Today morning, I think today morning or yesterday morning, I had sent you one message
Message.
on
Yeah.
WhatsApp, which spoke about the Gurukula system.
Yeah.
Now, that, and it had also mentioned that the daily lives of the Indian people or the Indian population was made illegal by the British
Hmm.
to keep away the immense knowledge what Indians had at that time. So, one example I'll give you: the Gurukuls, which were existing that time, pre-independence, during the early 1900s and late 1800s, were much higher than the any kind of education institutions
Yeah.
now which are existing.
Yeah. I agree
So
with that too.
the education was so strong in terms of Gurukul system. Uh, the every why what we as contemporary people are asking, they had an answer and they have an answer for all those things. It's
Yeah.
just that the British education system, which was brought in by Lord Macaulay at that time, was that particular Macaulay system, education system, had actually overpowered the Gurukul system, and by passing a law that all the Gurukuls would be made a criminal offense if the Gurukuls are being run, if the Gurukuls are being in operational thing, it would be a criminal offense. So by
Hmm.
law, the age-old existing Gurukul system was criminalized, and when a system becomes criminalized, people don't want to go ahead and practice that. When they don't want to go ahead and practice that, 30 years, 40 years down the line, the whole knowledge gets vanished.
Yeah.
So that is the whole reason I have always been saying, and during in my messages, food and education.
Yeah.
Food and education are the backbone of the society. If you contaminate these two of any country, you can make them mental slaves for the next coming thousands of years. If the food is poison, if the food is made poison, if the soil is made poison, whatever they are going to eat will be filled with a lot of unwanted chemicals, and the
Yeah.
person who is going to be there in that country will always be ill. A, an ill person, with health, with an ill health, a person cannot think much,
Yeah. True,
cannot
sir.
intellectually, cannot intellectually work.
True.
So with food, they hit the brain, and with the change in the education system, they infuse a lot of inferiority complex.
Hmm.
Now, if you see the British history, which is read by you and me and everyone in this contemporary world, the 100, 200 years of British history is what we are taught in the history books of 6th, 7th, and 8th, 9th standards.
Yeah.
But is it really that much history what our India is having? No. India is having
A very rich
age
history.
old history.
Yeah.
Why are we not studying the Guptas? Why are we not studying the Cholas? Why are we not studying the Vikramadityas of the country? I don't remember the exact emperor's name, but it was told that the emperor had 3/4 of the world as his kingdom.
Hmm.
So why are we not studying that? So food and education, if you ruin these two things, you are getting hold on to the mental aspects of the youth and the next generation. So a lie said 100 times becomes a truth.
Yeah.
So with the help of education system, they have been telling lies to all the people born after 1920s and 1930s, early 1900s, and for 100 years they have been pouring in a lot of nonsense in our brain,
Yeah. True, sir.
which made us believe that the Western people or the British people are the are the uh, are
Supreme.
the mind,
Supreme and ideal. Yeah.
supreme mind. Yeah.
We
So
have been
if you
trained
see,
to
I'll give you
look up to
one more
them, sir.
example. Yeah, we have been trained to look up to them, and that is not being understood by the current people, current
Yeah.
contemporary people. Instead of asking what was our history, why are we not studying Rani Lakshmi Bai? Why are we not studying Chhatrapati Shivaji with the amount of intensity with which we study British Empire?
Yeah.
Why are we not studying Vikramaditya or Chola Kingdom? There was a time in India when the number of universities in the country were much more than the number of hospitals. There were no hospitals only, ideally. If you see the excavations and the history or the archaeological survey of India, if you see the history, you will see that India always had a lot of universities and hardly any hospital. That
Wow.
itself talks and tells about that how much of importance we had on education.
We
And
have to
because
weigh. I'm taking time to process the statement you just said because that is so true. The relation between education and health. So, like, we always tend to see them as different things, right? So basically, like what they say is like Hinduism or Hindu culture, they don't cut like our histories or like in Gita, like everywhere, they don't say this as a religion, they don't say this as a caste, they say it as a way of life. So like we started to defragment different aspects, and I think like that is where everything fell apart.
no current generation, they have the right logical and reasoning approach.
Yeah.
I understand, but they don't have the patience to pursue it and
Hmm.
persevere it. Now,
Yeah.
if a question comes into your conscious, why are we using mango leaves on a festival? Now, the immediate answer is only Google, or the contemporary people are forgetting the fact that whatever is there on Wikipedia or Google or on the internet, it is all written by people only.
Yeah.
But have they done the primary research? Have they done the secondary research? Have they gone to the real pundits? Have they gone to the real Ayurveda experts? Have
It's
they
the
gone to the real
efforts you're
doctors?
talking about to know the answer,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
we,
People are not
people
interested in
question
to.
to prove their intelligence. So like so far, like whatever I have observed, the better question you ask, the more intelligent you seem to be. So here the intent of questioning is not to find the answer, it is to prove the intelligence. So when the intent is wrong, like your output will always be inclined with your intent, right? So that is exactly
I
what has
totally agree.
happened.
I totally agree. Now we are living in a society where the uh, the attention span is only 4 seconds. Now with an attention span of 4 seconds, when I started my career in 2006 or 7, the attention span was somewhere around 30 seconds. That was the time when the internet was very, very costly. We used to pay for 1 hour of internet surfing, we used to pay 120 rupees.
Even our generation growing up, internet was expensive, sir. Like until Jio, the Jio revolution,
Okay.
like internet was expensive.
Yeah, until Jio expensive, but the speed was also quite good. But we were on dial-up. We had lived on dial-up. So a person who has lived on dial-up or who has grown in the dial-up era, dial-up. You understand what is dial-up?
No.
No, broadband.
Yeah.
Before broadband, there was something called dial-up. Now, what is dial-up?
Okay.
Dial-up is through your phone. So if you have a land phone, if you have a telephone, land phone, if you are using internet, you can get an incoming call. So through your phone connection, internet was used.
Internet was
So
used, yeah.
some rich people used to have two phones, one for internet and one for normal calling. Okay, so some middle class people who could afford only one telephone. So when the internet was on through dial-up, that is through the telephone, they never used to get any kind of incoming calls. Now the speed of the dial-up was much lesser than what we are getting today. We used to work on 56 kbps speed, 128 kbps speed. Now today we are minimum is 4 mbps.
So
Our
when
phone
you're
internet is
talking
giving you 4
about
mbps.
this, like this makes me
One second,
think. Yeah.
1 second. Let me complete. So
Yeah, sure.
a person like us, I am born in 1980s. 1982 is my birth year. Now a person who has seen dial-up, the patience level is also like that. But if you go to my father's generation who has not seen internet when he was a child, and to travel from one place to another place, they used to actually cycle. There was no motor transport at the middle class and the rural India. So they had a lot of patience. Now, if we surround ourselves with technology and things and people who are having less patience, we will also become like that.
Yeah.
So the whole point that I'm trying to make is the attention to detail and the attention span is coming down because the technology is much faster.
Yeah.
And because the technology is much faster, attention span is going down. Because
It's
attention span is
reduced, yeah.
going down, the patience is gone. Patience to sit and listen to either to a father or a mother or a grandmother or a grandfather, or to a person like Sadguru or a spiritual guru, or to even, let's say, a teleserial like Mahabharata or Ramayana coming on DD National. They don't have that kind of a patience.
Yeah.
You know, in Shirdi Sai Baba's, if you see the statue or if you see the idol Shirdi Sai Baba, you will have two things over here: Shraddha and Saburi. Patience and belief. So a person who is having patience and belief will always go forward. Sai Baba says that. So neither of the things, that is, patience is also not there, belief is also not there, because we don't have patience, we don't believe anything.
Yeah. True. So, and also, like we as design students or anybody, so right now I'm studying interaction design, right? So we design mobile applications and mobile application byproducts. So we learn like different design laws which will make the user achieve a certain goal in less amount of time. So, sir, we are being taught to design things so that people can use it in a short period of time. So when we are being taught to make people impatient, if we are being taught to make people less patient, then what else can we expect from people, sir?
So that is, that is why I said education system is coming out with contradictory things. If the human
Hmm.
consciousness has to go forward and elevate themselves, they need to relax. They need to have patience. They need to sit and observe. They need to hold. They need to be still.
Hmm.
And the current generation is always on the go. They just want to run, and there is no problem with that. But the concern is
Hmm.
there
Yeah.
are no brakes in a
Yeah.
car. In a car, let it be a ambassador or a Lexus or a a big Mercedes or I don't know. I'm not good at cars and their names, but the most expensive car and the most worst car, the cheapest car. The most important thing is what brakes. If you don't have brakes, what is the point of having a car?
Yeah.
That brake is not there, which is installed with the right kind of education in our conscience,
Yeah.
and that is where the education is very, very important at the grassroots level, right from the childhood. If the husband and wife and the father and the mother and the grandmother and the grandfather are going to watch only Bollywood, Hollywood, and Kannada serials and Telugu serials and what nonsense on these channels, the child is also going to pick the same thing. Whatever child doesn't follow the instructions, child follows behavior,
Actions.
which is seen in the household. If husband and wife
Hmm.
they are fighting with each other, if the husband and wife are yelling at each other, if the husband and wife are talking nonsense, if the topic of discussion is Bollywood and Tollywood and Sandalwood and all those things, they will also learn the same thing. There are
Surely
many
there is
times
change.
Indian
Yeah.
housewives there are many times Indian housewives they sit with the television series which are going on the TV, and they will make the child sit next to her, and they will ask him or her to do the homework. So we are what we consume from our five senses.
Yeah.
So even the child is trying to do some kind of a homework, he or she is listening to what nonsense is coming on the TV, and that is the whole reason why the TV is called an idiot box. TV has to be banned, or the programs which are aired on the TV has to be with a lot of responsibility. The directors or the producers or the story writers or the film directors or the full film producers or the television directors should actually have a larger vision of the society and then direct things.
Sir, I think that the resources are there, have been, but I don't think that, like, if we perceive television as a display of art form, then maybe that is another way to look at it. So we are depending on a certain category of people to set an example to the society, sir. Like we all are expecting that the producer, the directors to think about society as a large, but the problem is we are not reflecting that in on ourselves. Like we are expecting someone else to do the work for us to the society. Like it's the problem is with us.
That is why there are only three people in this whole world who can change the coming generation: mother, father, and teacher. And if
Hmm.
these three people are not responsible, there can be filth around. But if the mother and the father are not conscious about
Hmm.
what is being consumed with the five senses of the child, the filth will always come into the brain of the child.
Yeah.
And if the teaching fraternity also starts taking up the whole job as some kind of a mundane job, or some kind of a, just because I'm getting salary, I'm trying to do something, the whole objective of being a teacher is gone.
Yeah. True, sir. True. Definitely.
Teaching a subject is just a part of the whole teaching profession.
Hmm.
When a teacher is there with the child, either in a primary school or the nursery or the secondary school or the higher secondary school, or in the graduation time, apart from the technical aspect, the the development of the consciousness has to be the focus.
Yeah.
The problem with current education system and the stakeholders in the current education system is that everyone is only focusing on the technical education
Yeah.
and not educating the soul. The moment a child, irrespective of his age, is taught or educated in terms of educating the soul or elevating the soul to a higher consciousness, by default there will be a churning of better individuals.
Yeah. And also, soul education, like even like there is no basic education, sir. Like even if we not think about the soul education, so back in the days we had education was much more broader. So we had Kama Sutra, which also gives sex education, and we had Ayurveda, which talked about health and well-being. So these are the top, like these were, so we have always been categorized and we have been labeled that Indian society is very narrow-minded. We're not open to things, right? If we go to temples, temples are surrounded with a, a naked humans, like all the sculptures, the art form, and also like Kama Sutra, like it gave sex education, keeping women in mind. So like women were the priority in Kama Sutra, like, the education, and these is these are what I think education should be about. So we came so off track, and we have created a illusion of what education is. The definition of education has changed over the period of time. Surely education has changed. I am nobody to say if it's good or bad, but I think that it is very important for us to define what education is. Since that has changed, we lost track of all the important things that were supposed to be. So the number of universities reduced and the number of hospitals are increasing, like you said.
True. So if you have seen the film called Castaway, uh, have you seen the film called Castaway?
No, no.
Okay, so the protagonist, the hero in that film, is left on a island for almost 2-3 years, and that happens because he would be a part of FedEx,
Hmm.
the FedEx cargo team,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he would be on a plane, and that plane crashes onto a island, and everyone
Hmm.
apart from him dies, and he's left on an island. And the whole film, the majority of the film, that is 3/4 of the film, is about this person, how he reinvents himself on that particular island. Now,
Okay.
the problem with this education system is that we are not taught life skills. Now,
Yeah.
what are life skills? Life skills are those skills which if a person is left on an island, he or she should be able to survive, right?
Yeah. The
Do we know how?
instincts.
Do we know? Do we know how to create fire? We don't know. Do
No.
we know how to create a small house? We don't know. Do we know how to grow our food? We don't know, right? So these are some of the basic life skills.
Yeah.
Everyone. Do we know how to take care of our health? If doctors are not there, if the medicine people are not there, are we able to take care of our health? So our
No.
age-old system was always about the basic needs that a human would always require,
Hmm.
is all taught to that particular child, because the child has to live and be surrounded by people, behavioral science is taught, psychology is taught,
Yeah.
because the child has to someday or the other has to either treat themselves or treat someone. Basic sense of health and medicine was taught,
Yeah.
right? Are you there?
Yes, 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 sir. I'm hearing. Yeah.
Are you there? Yeah, because every human being requires shelter, so basic amount of architecture and civil engineering was taught, house building, because every person has to eat food, has to satisfy their hunger. They were taught how to grow food,
Yeah. Survival.
because everyone had to deal with money. The economics of the world, how the world functions and how the money transactions happen, or how the arthashastra, basically the finance education was taught.
Yeah.
So till a particular standard or till a particular age, the child would be groomed in such a manner that if he or she is left on an island, he or she will be able to handle himself or herself.
Yeah.
He or she will not die. Today, you and I, if we are left on an island, we will die the minute we are aware that we are alone.
Yeah. True. True, sir. Agreed. Yeah. So,
Right?
yeah.
If you remember, my father and mother and my grandfather and grandmother, that generation used to do all the plumbing activities, all the paint activities, all the carpentry activities, all the electrician activities. They all used to do on their own. I used to see my father own, father, and grandfather fixing a fuse, fixing basic plumbing issues, basic electrical issues, basic all these things. But now your generation and my generation, we are having specialists. So
Yeah.
if some drain goes for a toss, we have to call a plumber. We don't even touch it. We'll say,
Yeah.
"Humko nahi malum." We don't want to do anything. We are
Yeah.
even scared to touch it.
Yeah.
One fuse goes off, we don't know how to open and close it.
True. Yeah.
So these are some of the life skills which 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 got diluted over the period of time in the context that technical education has to be given more importance.
Yeah.
If gardening was a part of the family activity, why do you have to get gardening क्यों कर रहा है? नहीं नहीं अच्छा, it's okay, go and study. Gardening is not for you.
Yeah. We have reserved a certain qualifications for a certain set of people, and then we are asked to make a choice whether to pursue it or not. So why can't why can't one student have financial education with gardening education and a basic sense about health and well-being? Why can't an individual have all this? So we parents, and then I don't know if we will be imposing this on our children and for further generation, but we are asked to make choice. If you choose to do, if you choose to have financial education, then you are not supposed to think about anything else, like think about that, learn about that. So I think that is where the
A holistic
diversification,
approach is
yeah.
holistic approach is always important. Yeah, and that too at a very childhood level,
Young
and
age.
that's where the Gurukul education uh, gives you a lot of sense.
Yeah,
There
true.
are some uh, uh, while I was researching for the Gurukul for my child, for my son, my wife attended a seminar of 3 days or 4 days, in which it was mentioned how a Gurukul functions. There are still many Gurukuls which are existing in the country, somewhere
Oh,
in Gujarat, and
I
somewhere
didn't know that.
even in Karnataka, even I think some 110 kilometers from here, that is from Bangalore, 110 kilometers. That is Mekedatu. Are you aware of that place, Mekedatu?
No, no.
Mekedatu is a place. which is from Bangalore, 120 kilometers, and there's a Gurukul over there. Its name is Om Shanti Dhama.
Okay.
There is a Gurukul in Magadi Road only for girl children. There's a Gurukul in Magadi Road. Another Gurukul called Anandavana.
I haven't
Which-
heard of any of this ever in my life.
Yeah, and they are all in Bangalore. I mean, outskirts of Bangalore, basically. You don't have to go to Gujarat to see a Gurukul. It is there in our state of Karnataka. So there are many Gurukuls which are existing, and they are trying to educate people the age-old tradition manner,
Hmm.
where all the four Vedas, are taught to them. They have a strong, daily schedule, and such kind of Gurukul. There are Gurukuls which are affiliated to CBSE and State Board also. You will be amazed to hear them. Right.
Yeah.
So there are such kind of parents who would want to have a contemporary education as well as the Gurukul education. So such kind of Gurukuls which are affiliated to State Board or Central Board offers you a combination of these two.
That would be the first
So
step for any parent to
yes, yes,
take decision to.
and this Om Shanti Dhamma, which is near to the Kaveri River, early in the morning at 4 o'clock, all these children are taken to the Kaveri River to take a dip over there, and the dincharya, the daily activities are in such a manner that however it used to happen in a Gurukul, early morning get up, go and take bath in the river, do Surya Namaskar, do all those activities and come back and then serve in the Gaushala, do some kind of farming, some kind of gardening, then come to the class, learn some Veda mantras,
Hmm.
some kind of Vedas and all those things, and then learn the other contemporary technical aspects, that is the technical education, and then complete it in the evening. And then by 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the evening, they will be completing their dinner, and then
Sunset,
they'll
yeah.
be going to sleep.
Before sunset,
So
yeah.
before sunset. So the whole cycle of the human mind and consciousness is all based on sun. Before the sun rises, one should be awake, and before the sun sets, your daily schedule should be off.
Hmm.
So still the hope is not gone. I mean, there are many Gurukuls which are existing in the state of Karnataka and many other states in India, which are taking this whole thing to a different level and helping the
Yeah.
old tradition to be preserved.
Yeah.
It's just
More
that
initiative
it's
has
just that
been taken. Yeah.
it's just that how much of patience do we have? Now, if you ask me, if I wouldn't have had a child, if I wouldn't have gotten married and had a child, I wouldn't have even thought of all these things.
Yeah.
Now, because my child was going through a difficult phase in terms of health, I started questioning the food what is being served at my table in the form of packaged food. Why my child has to undergo this kind of pain? Why my child has to undergo this kind of torture? My child was told not to drink milk because he was labeled as that he is lactose intolerant. He is allergic to milk. Now this question had hit me very hard. For ages we have been drinking milk, and how a child who is 2 years old, 3 years old can be kept away from drinking milk. Now the whole questioning started from there. What is being done to the food? Why my child is allergic? Is it the food which is allergic, or is it my child who is allergic? Or is it the kind of food what is being served is not right?
Yeah. That's a right question to
So
ask.
when it comes to your own people, that's where you start introspecting the kind of life that you are living in. And if it happens to me, I might not be so much bothered, but if it is happening to a child, a father or a mother would never be able to handle it, and they will start questioning, they will start tracing back, and people who are educated like us, who are having rational mind and logical mind, they will start questioning everything and finding answers. And this took me 7 years. My child is 7 years today, 7 years old, and this took me the whole thing started when he was 2 years old. and it all started with desi cow milk.
So before that,
he was labeled as that he's allergic to milk, he should not drink milk, and then it started the the whole process of questioning why it is like that, how I should handle this, what should I serve to my child. And then
so what about before 2 years, sir? Like right after birth, when the baby is given mother's milk.
mother's milk.
So now my question is the baby still lactose intolerant when the mom is breastfeeding the child?
No,
So you said that until 2 years there was no problem.
Until 2 years there was no problem, because till then he was feeding. He was being fed by his mother. Now the moment he is weaned out and given a commercial thing which is available in the market,
Packaged.
obviously he will not be adjusting to it, because the child is a very purest form of energy and purest form of the God.
True. Yeah.
And if during the birth or during the 9 months of pregnancy and during the process of conceiving, if the consciousness is kept very, very strong, the child who's going to be born will be very, very pure, and such kind of the child will be sometimes
true.
allergic to kind of packaged food. And many children who are in the current generation are having this kind of problem. Lactose intolerance is because of the kind of
food that is being consumed.
Yeah, there's something which is done to the food is the problem. And if you do a basic search, China milk scam, if you do a basic Google search, you will see that, I don't remember the exact year, but for 2 years children of China were fed the infant formula. The food, infant food, was filled with a compound called melamine, melamine. That's a chemical compound. To make that chemical compound is used to make tiles.
Why? Like, why? To meet the demand of milk, or
to meet the demand of milk, to meet the nutritional fact of the milk also.
Nutrition factor.
So milk is generally taken to focus on calcium and protein.
Yeah.
So when you mix melamine compound, which is used to make tiles, into milk, the protein content in the milk will be high, and no laboratory can actually find it. And it all started with the cattle food. And then brought to infant food.
Wow.
And after it was brought to infant food, many children died, because child's body cannot handle that kind of a chemical compound.
Yeah.
And it will reject it. And if you keep infusing, mother and father will say, why is he not drinking? Keep, give him more milk. Gone.
Yeah.
China milk scam. You can do a basic search, melamine. And these kind of adulterants are in abundance for every food product available on the shelf of a super bazaar.
We all have been bought into the system. Sir, if you see, we all have the change was so subtle that we all were bought into this system. Like, we didn't actually know that until it was too late. Yeah, like now that we look back, now we want to change things. So it's always that, sir. So I think that basic human instincts have been developed from millions of years. Like, we still have a certain caveman instincts. So, and whatever we are doing now, that will be influenced few hundreds of years later. So now
True.
swiping and tapping, so that is at such a muscle memory that whenever I'm anxious or whenever I want entertainment or something, it is just few taps away. Like I just open I just open Instagram and I just scroll. So tapping, double tapping and scrolling, they've become a part of my muscle memory. So this will be reflected as we move forward.
Yeah.
And
One
also,
second.
yeah.
One second. Okay. Yeah, Vaishnav, I will 10 minutes. I will get back to you. 10 minutes. Yeah, I know. Before 8 o'clock, I will upload the assignment for him. Give me 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, this is part of the show, by the way.
Yeah. So that is where I've been telling. Just be very, very conscious about what you're consuming from your five senses. Instagram, Facebook. When let's say 2006, 2007, 2009, when Orkut, Facebook, and all these things were there, many people started questioning the real importance of Facebook and Orkut. That was a time when I started trying to find, these entertainment media is there, but entertainment media can also have a lot of constructive appeal. If you are trying to follow your subjects, if you're trying to follow your idols on Facebook, on Instagram, you will see the feed of such kind of people only, or such kind of topics only.
Yeah.
So if you subscribe to nonsense, you will get nonsense in your feed. If you subscribe to good thing, you will get good thing only. So it all bottles down to
The
us.
choice you make.
Yes. The only power what we have is the choice.
And also,
that is the sole power.
and also Facebook or Twitter or Orkut, when they were created, the intention of being created was not that. So
Yes.
like right now, so initially Twitter, have you seen Social Dilemma?
The movie.
It's a documentary. It's a Netflix documentary which talks about the whole social media influence that is being happening. In that, he says Twitter was initially created as a dispatch system. So you could send a message and all the taxi drivers could receive that, and then they would come and pick you up. So that was how it started. But then later on, it became a race of something else. And even now, there is so much good. There are so many businesses that are running entirely on social media. They're making tons of money, like everything. But also it's always the scale. Like the good is always balanced out by the bad. Like there is no way that we can escape this loop. Like it's always going to be this way. So that's why I never complain that this generation is bad or this generation is. Change is inevitable. Like it has changed, and
nothing is good, nothing is bad. It is the power to choose which deviates our path.
Both exist. It's just like you choose. Like if you choose to look at only bad stuff, then you develop bad mentality and like all the insecurities and all that, like which are, so someone will not choose to have insecurity, but the choices of sources have influenced. Yeah, like it's so hard to find the cause of the problem that, so we started this discussion with education, right?
It's like a web. It's like a web. You keep solving every knot which keeps coming in, and then it will lead to a different sectors, which will overall give you a eureka moment. Okay, because this happened, and because of all these things, this happened.
Yeah, everything is a lifestyle decision and everything is a lifestyle choice. Like that's what I believe. So you choosing to drink a Coca-Cola over something else, or like whatever you define to be healthy or not, it is a lifestyle choice. It is not a food choice that you're making. So that way, everything is a lifestyle choice.